story is New York State Senate rejected Monday an attempt to force a vote on legislation that would allow, in essence, would allow a child, an adult who was molested as a child, to sue. Currently, the line is drawn at age 23. This would have a 1-year window in the adult life for the adult, the then adult, to be able to sue. Now, the Senate voted it down 30-29, which I think is appalling. Interesting in the story, this I think is a Post-Standard story. Gary Greenberg, who is the minority owner of Vernon Downs, said he was sexually abused as a child and has vowed to spend $100,000 or more this year to try to defeat DeFrancisco and other senators if they refuse to support the legislation to eliminate the statute of limitations for child sexual assault victims. That is from the New York Daily News. How about that? Kind of interesting. Frank Policelli is an attorney in Utica. Frank, thanks for coming on. What's your take here?
Well, they've been arguing this for the last 10 years in the legislation. I represented John Zampano in his case against Father Quinn in the Catholic Church, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We argued the issue of the statute of limitations being told due to a doctrine called equitable estoppel all the way to the Court of Appeals in all these church cases, including ones out of Brooklyn, okay?
Yeah.
And we lost, so we go to the legislation, and Senator Duane out of Manhattan was sponsoring legislation, and we were called to testify before the Senate over there in Albany and John Zampano and everything, because you got to understand, John Zampano's case against Father Quinn had the most overwhelming evidence of pervasive sexual abuse that could be proven with records that existed from the time. We had an expert, Dr. Richard Hamill from Albany, the foremost authority. We had other experts. We had substantive witnesses that would say why somebody would not report this, okay?
Yeah.
Which is the very reason why this legislation is being passed.
Right.
And when we were down in Albany, we were told 10 years ago, forget about it, this is never going to get passed, okay?
We said this earlier. The only thing I can think of why DeFrancisco would be pushing against this is protecting the church. That's the only thing I could think. I don't know of any other justification. Frank?
Well, I'm not going to speak about John DeFrancisco, okay? But I will tell you what I found out when I was down there 10 years ago with Zampano, and basically the bottom line is this. You know when that legislation is going to pass? When the church has no exposure.
Right.
Then they'll pass it. But it's not just the church, it's all the religious, but this is, there was overwhelming evidence about the Catholic Church and their priests abusing children and not coming forward for years. Well, there was a reason for that, okay? It's provable. And you have to understand, when we argued this in the Court of Appeals, the argument was, they had all this evidence on the record as to why they should pull the statute of limitations. So the Court of Appeals could have decided that they didn't. So now you go to legislation.
Right.
You're talking about 10 years.
Yeah.
So, you got time to clean up your act, I would think.
I would think. I hate to say this, but I'm with Gary Greenberg from Vernon Downs, who says he's going to work vehemently against any senator that voted against this legislation. This is a vote against the victim.
Well, that's a political thing that, you could argue, it's not my field, but, I'm just telling you the legal situation that I experienced as far as this issue is concerned.
I'm told that the Catholic Church is actually lobbying against this bill. I mean, it is.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Right? Interesting. And at the end of the day, the psychology, can you talk just a bit about that? Because someone who doesn't understand would say, well, listen, if they haven't come forward by the age of 23, then it's their own fault.
No. I mean, there's overwhelming scientific evidence. You could find most experts agreeing on that issue. That's pretty much a done deal, medically speaking, scientifically. Why people who are the victims of sexual abuse would repress their coming forward. Okay, that's almost not even an arguable point anymore.
Right.
Okay,
because there's so many.
Anybody
reasons.
who says that is going to be in the vast minority of people who believe in that. Okay.
Yeah. And ignorant, by the way, as far as I'm concerned.
Well.
Right? All right, Frank. Frank Policelli, attorney. Thanks so much for calling in. We appreciate it. Good insight right there. And it struck a nerve with him because he was right there fighting this thing. This is appalling. It really is disgusting that this is going on 10 years after this controversy broke out. This horrific controversy. I can't even believe it. All right, Christine has an update. Actually, I want to get these fireworks people in. I'm going to skip that. We're going to take a quick break and come right back. Standing by in our green room is Tammy Seaman, Majestic Fireworks in Clinton. And this is all about the legislation, about fireworks here. What's legal, what's not legal, when will it be legal, is it legal now? We're going to bring Tammy in next. And she has a bag with her, and I believe it's a bag of explosives, to be honest. We'll come right back and find out at WIBX.